Good morning, RanchCast. We are live, and you should be able to hear me now. So that was fun. Laptop thought it. All right. Laptop forgot that it had a mic, and I know you all can hear me because you're telling me you can hear me. So let's get started. Switch over to my desktop. All right. I remember to do that today. So let's talk. Let's first and foremost, welcome back to the RanchCast. If you're new, if you'd like to join us, you can join us on Slack. So if you navigate to slack.rancher.io, you can sign up for a free Slack account to our Slack users channel. And if I go to Slack Rancher users.slack.com, I'll sign in with my backup account. If I can remember, this is why I have a password keeper, because they're all rando passwords that I cannot remember. And this one I don't have. Let's guess. Hey, that one is not in the password manager yet, but I'll do that later. So if you'd like to join us, you can join us in the RanchCast channel. And I am at JVB, out on Slack. Come join us at the channel, and yes, you all can hear me. So continuing with what we left off on last week, if you'd like to join along, the source code for today that will continue to evolve over the coming weeks is at github.com/Jason Van Brackle. That's me. /automate all the things. And that link I will paste into the RanchCast channel to stick right there, and everyone can see. So again, the idea being that we are building out an enterprise quality, repeatable process for building out a Kubernetes infrastructure. Now, we just have to be using Azure for this because the community said so. If you'd like to join along, you'd like to fork this and build your own vCenter version or your AWS version, by all means. So we're going to be touching on a bunch of tools. We've already touched on Azure CLI and Terraform. Today will be pretty Terraform heavy because we have to build out the Terraform code to generate the infrastructure that we're going to use for our Kubernetes clusters. So step one is going to be building out the infrastructure for an RKE Kubernetes-backed Kubernetes cluster. We'll then install Rancher on it, and then we'll use Rancher to actually spin up other clusters. We're going to do as much Terraform as possible. We're going to try to limit ourselves against too much Bash or too much PowerShell, whatever your choice is. I do a little bit of both. For those who don't know me, I was a .NET developer for a good 15 years. So I did everything from VB3 all the way through .NET Core, and I have the cynicism and scars to prove it. I'll be drinking coffee throughout. I drink lots of coffee. I'm continuously caffeinated just because I have 3 kids, a dog, and a cat, and I love to code. And also, I just don't sleep anyway. So let's go ahead. If you haven't already, go ahead and clone this repository. I've already done so. I'll open a terminal window. Now, continue from last week. I was having trouble getting all of the automation to work quite right. So, and the reason for that was I was holding it wrong. So let's go. I use VS Code. I use VS Code because it has lots of really, really cool plugins, regardless of the language I'm going to use. We may do some actual coding and developing software that's not scripting. If we do that, I'll open an IDE other than VS Code. My preference, especially if I'm doing .NET Core, is JetBrains Writer. I do that because Visual Studio proper is awesome, but doesn't have a Linux variant. So we have a running to-do list of all the things. Here was the original list that I put in the blog post announcing the RanchCast. Here is up top. Here is that plus all the other stuff you all said that, hey, we should touch on this too. So things like SDN, least privilege in Azure, horizontal scaling, all kinds of fun stuff. So let's say hello to anybody who is joining us this morning on the RanchCast channel. Good morning, RanchCast. Good morning, P. Michael. I see you out there. If anyone else is listening, go ahead and say hi. always enjoy interacting with y'all. So that being said, let's see where we were. Let's see where we were last time. Our automate. So I modified this slightly from when we finished up. From we finished up. So go ahead and do a git pull on the latest master for this, because I did change it a little bit. And I made a mark for what we're going to do for episode 4. But the things that I changed, I put some variables in, so you can name your resource group whatever you'd like, and you can name your service principal whatever you'd like. Then we'll create a resource group, and again, we're just doing Azure CLI automation. This may end up back at Terraform. We'll do some refactoring as we go. For those of you who are not familiar with the term refactor, I have a book for you. So I'm a big book fan. Not just big books, but books. And it's a refactoring book. So there are lots of good ones out there. My favorite is Refactoring, Improving the Design of Existing Code. This has probably been updated since then. This might even be a newer version of it. I'm not, second edition. So, by all means, check it out, especially if you write code for a living. If you do scripting, maybe less important, maybe not, but still important all the same, because, software changes. Terraform's gone from 0.11 to 0.12, and it's significantly different. A lot of my 0.11 scripts will not work right now, and I have to figure out why. And we'll copy some stuff from the 0.11 and go from there. So, yes, refactoring is awesome. So we have our service principal. We'll have to create one for this. Actually, I'll need a service principal for this. So I'm going to go actually, let's see, automate AZ. Oh, we'll have to log in first. So the only thing that we assume is you log in. So actually, let's make a note of that. So AZ, log in. You can put in your credentials here or not. I'm just making myself a note to do that. I'm going to do that right here on the screen. And since I have more than one account, I always have to pick which one I'm on. I have MSDN subscription on both. One is Rancher, one is my personal. But let's go ahead and use the Rancher account because it has lots more space than my personal one. I will try not to scrape the mic too much with my hand when I go to take some coffee. But we should be on. And we'll also keep the portal up just in case. So we are now logged in. I'm actually going to just hit automate and hope that we did everything right and that it all just works. Actually, I have to chmod that. So I'm going to chmod. There we go. Now it's executable. And let's see how this goes. So far, so good. Remember that name doesn't have to be an actual working URL. That's just how everything in Azure AD is it's OIDC. So it's OAuth scoped. It uses URLs and for everything, which is why it's both awesome and complicated at the same time because URLs are not that friendly. And we created our service principal as well. And wow, that worked out better than I hoped. So we should now have, going back to our code, we should have a resource group, we should have a service principal, and that principal just logged in for us. So what all that means is that currently the service principal is my active session, and that'll be the active session for Terraform. So reviewing last week, there are a couple of different Terraform modules that we're going to use today. So one is we're going to use the RKE provider, which is not written by Rancher Labs, but is awesome nonetheless and is in constant development. You can see the latest commit was 6 days ago. So we're going to use this. If you missed last week, actually we should probably put that in like a pre-setup space. So I'm going to make myself a note to do that. We don't do that right now. So I'm experimenting with this thing called a Rocket Book. So the idea is that I write things in a special pen, and then I take a picture with my phone, and it ends up like on my Google Drive. but it has, really cool QR codes and symbols and whatnot. So I'm going to use this to take notes. So I don't have to open up a notepad live to do that. But I do want to take a note to, actually, no, we'll use the live to do so you all can see it too. But just know that I like to write. So keeping things electronically is one of those things that I'm still figuring out how to do well. So episode 4 notes. Add laptop, PC, provisioning. So this is where I could use your all's help. I'm going to write the ones for Ubuntu Linux. If you want to write PowerShell for a Windows machine that's running this as well, or a Mac, or some other flavor of Linux, if you like to torture yourself with something like Slackware. I love Slackware. It was my first. That's why I brought it up. Or if you're an Arch Linux user, y'all do everything from scratch. So if you'd like to help with provisioning scripts, by all means. I don't have time to write them all for all the different machines, but this is where, hey, community, y'all are awesome. Help be awesome. So PC provisioning scripts. I'll actually put a provision script in here. Actually, let's go ahead and put it in a separate folder. And we'll just put a file in there. Set up prereqs.sh. And I'll just use this as a placeholder. And we need to install Terraform. We'll try to stick to 12. If we find it too frustrating, we'll go back to 11 because I know 11 works and I'm familiar with 11 and I've done lots of 11. But we'll try 12 because there are lots of cool features like for each loops and branching and things like that weren't in earlier versions. So we'll install Terraform 12. We'll install the Azure CLI. And I think that's as far as we've gotten so far. Oh, same provider. No. So question from the RanchCast group is this the same provider? No. So the RKE provider is to automate the Rancher Kubernetes engine. This is like the RKE CLI if you were going to do an HA install of Rancher, which is what we're going to do. The Rancher 2 Terraform provider is actually automating Rancher once it's installed. So there's this provisioning Rancher step, or provisioning Kubernetes to provision Rancher to provision Kubernetes. Yeah, it's not complicated at all. It's just solving the chicken and egg problem. We want to run HA Rancher in a Kubernetes cluster, or run Rancher in a Kubernetes cluster so it can be highly available, and then use that Rancher installation to not just manage its own cluster, but also provision other clusters in other ways. So good question, Lynant. So we'll install Azure CLI and other stuff. We'll figure out what other stuff is later, but I'm sure there will be other stuff. So our next step is we need some nodes. So we'll need a Bastion node. We'll need, actually it's probably going to be here. It'll be in the Terraform. So let's actually start a Terraform module. So this may end up being in different modules. We'll just call it Terraform module for now. We'll give it a better name later when it's more descriptive. We may have multiple modules here. I've actually not had the chance to build my own Terraform module yet. Maybe we could do that together because that lets us reuse things instead of having to create big, long, huge main files like we'll grab from this one today a little bit. Let me open up that other code file. Come on, code. There we go. So I'm going to pull some of our code from the other Terraform modules that I've done just because it saves us a little bit of time, but we'll refactor as we go. So for those of you who've not seen this specific repo, wrong screen. Hope you're enjoying me bumping through learning how to live broadcast. I'm really enjoying this, actually. I was nervous the first time. I've actually, the first two like test ones I did a while back. I'm getting more comfortable with it, talking into a camera and just imagining all of you looking back. So there'll be some stumbling and some bubbling, and I'll probably buy some more fun equipment just to make this easier and like improve my lighting. It's a little strange here. I feel like I'm a little red. All right. So yeah, it's not the same as the Rancher 2 provider, but let's open that screen as well. So I'll grab that one. And we'll need the Azure provider. And let's see, I need Azure. You know what? We might just keep Azure Active Directory open at some point. We may actually create that service principal with Azure Active Directory. That'd be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? I've not done that yet. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Azure Stack is the Azure on-prem solution. I would love to do an Azure Stack setup, but it takes a lot of hardware to run an Azure Stack, and I don't have one. So if you happen to have one, we'll do an Azure Stack episode sometime, by all means. Also, I don't mind, talking and doing this and talking to you all, but I'd love to pair on some of this and mob program some of this where, a bunch of us are looking at different points at the same time, and then this stuff just flies. So if you're interested in being live on the RanchCast, let me know out on Slack. Let me know on Twitter. I'd love to I'd love to hear about what you're building, because you're not listening to this, because you need entertainment. There are lots more entertaining things to watch. And two, y'all have really interesting problems that you're solving because you're in the enterprise. I spent a long part of my career in the enterprise, and I know that being a vendor is very different from being in the enterprise. So I'd love to hear what y'all are working on, and I'd love to pair this stuff. So if you're interested, let me know. We'll do this together in the future. And you'll see the RKE provider just popped up because Lynn Ann is paying attention that I didn't paste it. Thank you, Lynn Ann. So back to the task at hand. We need some nodes. So we're going to use the Azure provider, and we'll start with the compute resources we need. Now, we can't start with virtual machine. We have some prereqs for a virtual machine. So because we need a resource group, and we need a network. And we need a subnet. We need a network interface. Now, we may replace these with modules. We'll start simple. We'll work to more complex. So first things first, we need a resource group. Actually, first things first, we need the provider. So going back to the main page for the provider, some of this will be just walking through documentation together, because a lot of this, we want the Azure provider. So first things first, we need the Azure provider. As I mentioned before, sorry, I got an aside. If you haven't noticed, I get a little bit of ADHD because there are a million things that I want to think about and show you and do, but I can only do one at a time. There's only one of me. So github.com/jasonvanrackel/Terraform modules. And we'll actually start here. And we'll update these for Terraform 12 as we're going. So I'm going to start actually, this is whenever I create something where I need a test environment, I create a corresponding Terraform module. My personal websites, I set up with GoDaddy a long time ago, so I need some way of automating that. I have that. That also handles the fact that I use Gmail for my email, so it changes my MX records. This one, Cloudflare DNS. So Cloudflare has a free tier, and we may use it for our DNS later if we don't use Azure DNS, but you can sign up for that at cloudflare.com. Not advertising for them. It's just really easy to automate. They've got a nice API, just like Azure does. And we'll probably work from this one as well. And this one has a big, long bootstrapping script. And I'm trying to avoid having big, long bootstrapping script with sed all over the place. But this does work, and this is kind of what inspired this automate all the things, because as I started building this out for my test environments, I started thinking, hey, what if we could automate everything? Get a production ready, almost reference architecture for you all to use, and then we could split off into like I said, the on-prem vCenter version with an on-prem Metal LB, for example, things of that nature. But first things first, actually, let's go ahead and grab it from the Terraform module, because this doesn't have all the comments in it. So for those of you who just joined, we're here, and I'll paste this right into the link for the RanchCast. and go ahead and clone that, or just work from the screen like I'm going to, because I already have a clone. Why would I do that? So I'm going to grab, let me just close everything to make sure I work for one. I've got one that's in progress to do a Kubernetes and Rancher single node RKE. It's not ready yet. It needs some module love for it to work right. So we're going to grab main from here, and we'll do first things first. So we're not going to, like I said, this is why I use modules, so you don't have this craziness. But we do need the Azure RM provider, and we are using a service principal. So let's go. And so first thing we need a couple things. We're going to need let's go to the Terraform module. So I want to be in there. First thing we'll need a main.tf. So and you can see here, if you're using VS Code, go grab the extensions. Oh, this changed. I've gotten an upgrade, and I don't recognize the layout yet. So I'm using the Azure Terraform extension. I may have another Terraform extension in here, but yeah, so 2. So I'll add that to our automation as well. Wonder if we can automate the install of extensions. I've never tried. But let's go back into here. Nope, don't want that one. Want this one to do. Nope, I want the setup prereqs. Code and install code Terraform extensions. So I would like to believe that my laptops are, just commodity. I'm getting there. They will be one day where I can just, flush a laptop and restart it from scratch minus a few little hardware things. But that's the idea, is that, we could restart this every week from a fresh laptop if need be. All right. Back to our main. So main, first things first, we need a provider. So you can see here, the provider I'm using Azure RM. Now I can give it a specific version, and let's do that. So I like being as explicit as possible when we're using things. Now I don't know what the latest Azure RM version is, so I will just comment this out because I'll look that up later. But that way we have control over all of our dependencies. And that's important, that we have control of our dependencies. Everybody, many of you read up the Bitcoin hack from NPM latest, and I always say it: never use the latest tag, never use the stable tag, always use a name tag, or even better, air gap all of your container images and store them yourselves so you have control over what your dependencies are. Now, that does take more work, and maybe we'll tackle that together, but just understand. So you can see here, I've got a number of variables that the Azure provider needs. And we can see here, if we go to the Azure provider with a service principal, nope. No, I want to configure the actual principal. So they're using it as variables, which you can use, or I do it this way. I don't like hard coding any of it. I like it on a variables file. So that means we need a variables file. So next things next, a TFRs. And that is, I forget how that's named. There's a naming convention that I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. Fortunately, I have a copy right here, up terraform.tfrs. So if you call it Terraform TFRs, Terraform will see it, recognizes the variables file. So there are a number of ways to do variables in Terraform. You can inject them at the command line during your Terraform apply or your Terraform plan. You can also export them or you can have them as variables in your environment, or you can have them in the script file as variables. Remember, don't check in your TFRs file. So actually, when we create the TFRs file, we'll make sure we also adjust the git ignore to not grab that. And we'll also do a TFRs.example for anybody who's just getting started. And that will go into the source code. No, we don't need to search the marketplace. I don't need that. So our TFRs, we're actually going to have the blanks in here. I won't show all of them on the screen because then I'd be giving up a service principal. Actually, I won't be giving up a service principal, will I? If we're creating the service principal on the fly, And then using that service principal in Terraform, we just need to make sure that the Azure service principal gets created on the fly. I've never actually done a map on the fly, or maybe we just have it use it as variables. So let's do just that. We're going to call it var. So these variables are using what's called string interpolations. This is the string format. This is from with 11. 12 actually has almost like an object style way of doing this, where you can actually define types. So maybe maybe in the future we'll design a service principal type, or Azure will design a service principal type to fit into Terraform 12. We don't have that today, so we're just going to use straight variables and do that. So let's go ahead and grab it. So these lookups, which is looking for a map. So those of you who have used the module I've used before, let me go to an example. The variable looks like this, where it's a service principal variable with a subscription ID, the client ID, the secret and tenant ID, and I keep a TFVARs on the local machine. Now, that's not as secure as you could be. There are various ways to tackle that. We could go stick that in a vault. Actually, we should stick that in a vault. I like that idea. Let's vault all of our credentials and put that in the to-do. And where is my to-do list? So to-do, we want to vault our credentials. / key value management secrets /secrets /kvm on the fly. So the idea is that we get a just-in-time account that we'll use to provision everything and then be gone. That we never get to see the service principal before and don't have access to. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I'm loving this idea already. So if any of you are Vault experts and want to point me in the right direction, because I've used Vault for like this much stuff. I've taught Vault. I've read the documentation end to end, but I've not had to implement it at enterprise scale yet. So I guess we'll be doing that together. I won't have an HSM and do hardware key management and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so I'd be really interested in that. Vault all the things. Yes, exactly. So we're gonna vault all the things. Thank you, Lynette. Eventually, when I'm talking, we'll actually have a chat window up on the right side. I'm working on that. There's one for Twitch and one for Mixer and one for YouTube. But I'm broadcasting all three because I know all of you have different corporate firewall issues, and that's why I use Slack for chat. Eventually, I'll actually have the chat there on the side. I know how to build it. I just haven't built it yet. I love the fact that everything is API based nowadays, and we're not soaping anything anymore. It just makes it that much easier for me to pull things up on the fly. So let's TFRs this stuff. So we'll need variable, and we'll do subscription ID. Now, generally, let me make sure that so I have a convention. I use underscores for variables. When I think I name stuff, I use dashes. So when it has a friendly name, it gets a dash. When it's a variable in Terraform, it gets an underscore. I don't know if that's the right way. There's probably a Terraform best practice guide I haven't read yet, or a style guide I haven't read yet. So if you've read the style guide and I haven't, send it to me. But we'll subscription it, and we'll give it a description because we want people to know what it is. And this is our Azure subscription ID. And it's a string. Technically a GUID, but I think string is the only type we have for Terraform. So I need my main. So I need a subscription, a client, a secret, a tenant ID, and an environment variable. So environment, most of us are on public. I'm on public. Some of you are on GovCloud or one of the overseas clouds. But it defaults to public. But like I said, I want to be explicit with my dependencies, and Azure is one of my dependencies. So subscription ID, client ID, client secret, environment. Why am I doing it in different order? They're all the same thing. I'm just going to fill in the blanks. So now, depending on the documentation and depending on the object you're using, this may also be app ID. It's inconsistent throughout the various things that talk to Azure, whether it's the Cloud Control Manager in Kubernetes or Terraform. They use slightly different semantics, and the Azure CLI talks about it differently as well. One of the few annoying things, not real annoying, it's just one of the things you got to get used to. And client secret and password are also the same thing. So client secret, tenant ID, and environment. So subscription ID, client / app ID, Azure service principal, password, and app ID, Azure service principal, Azure service principal, tenant, and Azure environment. And let's go ahead and default one, just for the sake of defaulting one, so you can all see what it looks like. We're going to default it to public. So if you don't provide if you don't provide a default for something, and you forget to include it in either TFRs or an environment variable, when you go to execute your Terraform, it will ask you for it. So that's one of our ways that we can test ourselves that we're actually doing this right. Now, somebody asks, well, why is this service principal an app? That's a good question. So we go out into the Azure portal, and I'm gonna hide this for a second because I want to make sure there are no relative Rancher secrets out there since we are on the Rancher account. So portal.azure.com. So I'm just navigating to the portal. I'm going to go to app registration. I'm going to go specifically to the registration for this. So if you're in the portal, I'll narrate where we're navigating right now. We're going to Azure Active Directory. Once Azure Active Directory loads, we're then going into app registrations. And you'll get a whole list of all basically the app registration and service principals. And clearly, I've got some stuff I need to clean up because I've got more than one here, and I know I'm not using them right now. I don't believe they charge us anything for them. But here, we could see if you went to here, let's scroll over a little bit. If you went to Active Directory and app registrations and clicked on one of them, these are all mine. Apparently, I'm the only one creating service principals right now, at least in this account. And then we can see, again, the app or client ID, the directory or tenant ID, and then the object ID itself, which you won't need. But you will need this, you will need this, and you may also need the, and you'll also need the subscription ID, which we got. If you ever need your subscription ID, see when we logged in, we got actually the subscription ID here. But if you go to Azure AZ account, I think it's AZ account. AZ account. Is it list? No, show. I want show. And that gives us our current login. And we can see here the ID or this is your subscription ID, where you are, what tenant you're under, and how you're logged in, whether you're a user, or in this case, a service principal. So we've talked a lot about access. We've not built anything yet. So let's build something. So let's actually build out this. We've built out our variables file now. So we need anyway. So let's go back into our main, and so we won't have a lookup anymore. There'll just be a var. And nice VS Code if you typed something in before. And here, let's say. So here's a cool Visual Studio Code trick. So you can see when I'm selecting this, it's selecting all the things that are like it. If I hit Control-Shift-L, I can modify them all at the same time. Now, since I really should have done this all at once before I got to that one. And let's go ahead and delete all of this. And I'll fix subscription ID when I get to it. And when I hit Escape, I'm back into my single edit. I'm big into keyboard shortcuts and usability and things of that nature. So I'm going to use them. I'll use them whenever I can remember to do so. Oh, I should have left this around. I don't know if we can directly talk. You know what? Can we? Does the object model in Terraform 12 let us do this? I'm curious. Let's find out. So like I said, there is an object model out that will let you talk to things directly and not use string interpolation. And we're going to test the boundaries of just how far this goes. So let's go back to our terminal. Go to our Terraform module. First thing we'll do is Terraform init. So Terraform init grabs our provider and any plugins that we need that we've talked about. So it's just grabbing, oh, we can see here the latest version is 131.1. So it's getting latest. Probably fine in the Terraform case. I've never heard of Terraform 0 day. I guess it's possible. And then we'll do a Terraform plan. And we won't have anything in our plan. But we can see here, okay, a variable, oh, I just need to check my Terraform version. So if you want to check your Terraform version, do a Terraform version, and good, I'm 0.12.6. And when you do a Terraform version, if there's an upgrade, it will also tell you then. So it told me I can assign variables, I can assign them in the environment instead. So let's just go ahead and declare some variables. I'll need them from my service principal. That's it. So it didn't yell at me. Oh, it just yelled at me. Oh, cool. So it looks, and this is one of the other new 12 features is context level errors, which are more context around errors, which is really awesome because if you'd used Terraform before, you'd be like, I did what wrong? And it'd be some archaic error that you'd have to do the innards of Terraform to understand. This is actually really helpful. It actually tells us how to do that. And so we can actually set each one of these. It looks like it recognizes that syntax. Subscript. What is it yelling at? Unknown token. Did I spell it wrong? Subscription ID. Maybe? Yes, I did spell it wrong. Thank you for being smart. It's still saying unknown, but it might just be that the Terraform code for Visual Studio Code, or Terraform extension for Visual Studio Code, doesn't recognize the syntax yet. So let's go ahead and put some environment variables in. So we'll need a subscription. Actually, let's do this via our automation so we can automate all those. So we go back to our automate. We actually want to create our local variables. So set local variables for Terraform. Now, since the service principal is in a variable in this, well, it's not in a variable in the current session. It's in the session for the script. We can actually read it. So this variable is JSON. So we can actually modify it. Because here the issue I had last episode. If you watched last episode, you saw me struggling with the subscription ID. It's because the Azure CLI does not like quoted strings. So I just had to put a -r, which is essentially raw output. So it removes the string, the double quotes from the string in the output, which is kind of nice. So we'll service principal. I need to see actually what that service principal looks like. So it's just one of those areas where I really should have thought through this a little more and actually created them and exported them into my session so they were available to me. That's okay. We do have an idea of what the service principal looks like by scrolling. Oh, I don't have a session anymore. Well, fortunately, you can do an AZ, AD, SP. Is it a get? It's not a get. This is why your help is good. It won't give us the password. I just want to show, and I think it's by ID. Not. And now remember, I'm using the RanchCast. Use what you'd like to use. See, show. And so we get all the information with the service principal except its password, which is good. We don't want its password here. I may have to reset the password as part of this because when the password is in this variable, but it's not anywhere here where I can get to it. But so we can echo the service principal, and we can JQ. I want to get the, what is that? App ID. App ID. And that is so that is our that's our client ID. So client, and we'll do something similar for each one of our things except for the password, because I didn't think about this beforehand. So we'll have to go back and just remove that. So local variables, client ID, client secret, tenant ID, subscription ID, environment. So we'll do them in the subscription, client ID, client secret, tenant ID, and environment. And that should give us, so we got app ID, which is our client ID. We'll figure out the client secret in a minute. I need my subscription ID. Do we get a subscription ID in here? We may not. So we may, no, I don't think we do. We don't get a subscription ID. So we'll, actually that variable does not have a subscription ID, so we'll have to get it. So we'll do an AZ again, account, get. So not a get, AZ account, no, it's show. And I want to get that ID, so we're at JQ that, dot ID. Good, and that gets exactly what we want for our account ID. So we're going to grab that, and that will be our subscription ID. Our tenant ID definitely was in there. At least I think it was. I believe it was in the original call, but app owner tenant ID, is that my same? Yes, I believe that is my same tenant. We can check the portal to confirm. So let's go ahead and check the portal to confirm. Nope, not that one. I've got too many Firefox screens open. I can't get to my right one. Oh, okay. Let's go to this one. I've got all kinds of stuff up. All right. Portal.azure.com. And since I know I'm the only app registration in here, we can use this. So Active Directory, app registrations, and the one for that we're doing now. I'll have to remove all those. None of them have any passwords that I have access to. So tenant ID, good, that is the tenant that I recognize. Good. So tenant ID does come with the original service principal. I think it's called tenant ID. If not, we'll know it's broken. And then client secret is, I know it's password from that variable. I just happen to know that because I've done this a million times. And then our environment, I believe we can also get that from our AZ account show. No, can we not? Rancher Labs, environment, oh, Azure Cloud. We can, maybe that'll work. Let's give it a try. Can't hurt to try. And that was called environment name. So you know what? I'm going to actually log back in, create a brand new service principal, because if you run this again, I believe it'll just update the existing service principal and not, and I'll delete the resource group, and I will go ahead and recreate, do this again. And I believe if you already have a service principal with that name, it just updates the service principal when you do a create for RBAC call. So let's give it a try. So my resource group name is automate all the things. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this from our screen. That way we have access to those variables and work as we go. So AZ group delete -n automate all the things. And I think I also need to give it a region. We'll know in a second. Oh. Oh. I got to log back in as me. And logging in, off screen. There we go. Now let's try this again. So, oh. automate all things, not automate all the things. Actually, you know what? And let's put a no wait on that. No, we're going to have to wait because it has to be able to delete them. I mean, I could just, you know what? That's what we'll do. We'll change the group out. So we'll let that continue to run. Automate all the things. And I believe that will just work now. So we can just test this to see if this works. I'm gonna open up a new terminal window. Make that larger so y'all can read it. What do we call this? We call it all the things. And it was automate. We can see how this goes. Oh, did I actually change that name? Good, I did. So yeah, it's going to patch the service principal. I have no idea why that works. Uh-oh. Invalid client secrets provided. I killed it. That's okay. That's okay. I killed it. All right. Invalid password. Oh. Because when you patch it, you don't get the password back. Okay. Oh, good. That actually helps me. I know we get tenant in here. What else did I forget? Because it's in the login. App ID, password, tenant. Tenant, app ID, password. All right. Let's actually go and delete the service account. AZ, AD, SP, delete, ID. Again, if yours is not called the RanchCast, do whatever name you need for it. Fortunately, it's really fast to do it that way. And that gives password, environment. Oh, let's also get rid of some of our errors in here because that'll be fun. AC show, JQ, and we don't need the extra parentheses here. All right. So let's go ahead. We're already logged in. We're going to create our resource group called Automate All. Actually, let's make sure we don't still have that resource group around. AZ group, delete, automate all the things. Nope, it's still going to do its thing. So we're just going to rename it again just for the sake of today. Is my other screen done? Good, that one's already done. So we'll keep the other one doing its thing, deleting that resource group. And let's do it live in the terminal so we have access to our variables. That way, when I've messed it up, we can all look at how I've messed it up. Checking in on the RanchCast channel. Nobody new in today. Nobody new joined us yet. Thank you all for joining, those who are in the channel now. Again, if you'd like to join us, it is slack.rancher.io, and then, set local variables, subscription ID, and I did something wrong. The parse errors are JQ errors, so that just means I've JQ'd it wrong, which is fine. Let's see which ones did come through, though. So let's echo. Hey, Eric, well, thanks for joining this morning. So let's go ahead and echo our various, didn't want that off screen. I just want to be able to see what's down here. You know what? Let's side by side. And we'll remove, no, not that. It's Control B, yes, Control B. Oh, did I just delete that? Nope, I didn't, good. All right, so let's see what I got wrong here. So we're echo, we do it, oh good, we have that. Let's echo our client ID. Oh good, we have two. I have no client ID. Huh, let's echo. I'm going to do this off screen. It has a secret in it. I'm doing an echo service principal. So I want to see the whole service principal to see what I missed. Name is right. Tenant is right. Client ID should be .app ID. I'm going to see what this produces. Control. All right, back in now that I've removed the secret from the screen. Invalid new. What? At line 2, column 0. All right. I'm playing around with JQ. Ew. Is it not recognizing this as JSON? It is. Oh. I know what I did wrong. Linux mistake 101. Lynette, I will see you at the next I will see you next time. Thanks for joining us today. So, fixing what I just messed up royally. I should be able to get all of these variables right here. Again, oh, fun little thing I learned, Control L clears the screen in Linux. Something I learned weeks ago that I didn't even know exists. So let's see if we have all those variables again. Echo client ID. I'm going to assume if I have the client ID, I have the client secret. Good. Good. So now we should be able to, since we have our environment variables, we should be able to run our first part of this Terraform main. So let's go ahead and reopen that Terraform main. We don't have anything really in here yet. We're building this one piece at a time, but we have to be able to authenticate automatically. So we have all these variables, and if I do a Terraform plan, actually, where am I? Am I in the right place? I am. Good. So Terraform plan, didn't work. It's variable. Oh. Does it have to be a TF-vars file? So, do one of you out there know Terraform better than I do know how to do an environment variable this way? Just do like a TF underscore type of thing? Let's try that. So, because right now I have a bunch of errors. If I get one less error, we know we've done something right. So let's echo our subscription ID. And we want that equal to, let's try TF underscore. And then we'll echo, just to make sure I've done that right, because I am paranoid. Let's try it again. So I should not get an error about my subscription ID. And I still did. So this is where we go to the docs. I'm a big read the docs person. My memory is so-so. I have too much in there between lack of sleep and kids and all of that. So this is why we read the docs. So I'm going to go back to the Terraform, Terraform CLI, and I want to go into variables. Import state providers, provisioners. I just want variables. You know what? This is why Google is also helpful. Variables, site, terraform.io. Input variables. So I want the 112 and newer. Oh, it might be slightly different. So we declared variables. We did that right. Yes, we did that correctly. Remember, we have 4H loops now, which are really awesome. But we now have to actually set them. Ooh, we got some type constraints. I'll have to play around with that. And then we want to assign a variable. Oh, in the var command line, this is what I want as environment variables. We could also do the command line, but I want to try the environment variable thing because I've not done it yet. TF underscore var underscore. Oh, I was so close. So close. So let's go ahead and change our automate so we got that right. Just for later. And it's TF var underscore. We learned something, actually, again, let's take I don't have a Control-Shift-L here that I can do. Sure, there's some way to paste on like 5 or 6 lines. I don't know that shortcut. If you all know that, tell me. Like I said, I'm big into shortcuts. All right. Now let's try it again. See what other wonderful things have broken. Did I save this? Oh, it does help when we actually. So the only one I'll need to do this for that won't give me what I need is the secret. So we already have the client secret variable in there. The rest of them should just work. And then I want to echo client secret, and I want the TF var client secret to be equal to that. And now y'all just saw my secret. So I will reset that real quick so it doesn't hang around in case I forget to remove it later. So if you ever need to reset a client secret, for example, we can do this real quick. AZ, AD, SP, I think it's reset credential. It is. All right, it's credential. Might be credential reset. This is one of those things that's probably changed. It also helps when you spell it right. Reset. And I think it's just the ID. Scroll up. Reset by name. Okay, the app ID or name. So I can reset. And I'll do that off the screen so you don't see, oh, it's -- name. And I'll do that off the screen so that you don't see my new password. Oh, I'm logged in. Easy login. I need to log back in as me because Service Principal can't reset its own credential. That's a good thing. I don't need the portal now. And reset my credential. And grab. Good, I have a new password. I'll actually set that here while y'all can't see it. TF var. And we call that client underscore secret. And I'm going to paste that in. So I now have my new secret in there. Good. And I will put that back up minus the credential so you know what that looks like. You Control L the screen. And all I did was basically put the reset password into this variable. So now if I do a Terraform plan, I should have all my variables. Oh, that's actually good. Because we have no configuration at all. But it does mean that all of our variables parsed. Yes, this would destroy all the things. It would mark everything. I like that. I really like that. So like I said, the help in Terraform now has gotten so much better in 0.12. HashiCorp's done a tremendous job with this. All right. So we have all of that working. Client secret, get the password. So we'll be able to reuse these next time. That makes me really happy. Eventually, we'll figure out the whole create one. Actually, let's create one on the fly. But maybe we'll vault all the things at some later date. So back to our main. Let's go ahead into main. We can use the whole screen now. So we have our provider. So the first thing we'll need a resource group for all of this. Actually, we already have a resource group, so we do want to name it. That's a little bit interesting. So we create a group. This service principal. How do we scope this service principal? So I'm thinking about this. So service principals can be subscription scoped, and they can be resource scoped to multiple resource groups. And I want to look to see how we did this service principal. So we actually. We created a group. This is one of the chicken and egg problems that drives me nuts. So I'd love to do this whole thing in Terraform, but I need a resource group to name first. So what I could do is I could create a subscription-based resource group to create this service principal, or to create the group in Terraform, and then to create the service principal that will then be scoped to the group to create everything else. That's a little bit of I mean, we're talking least privilege. We want to have the least privilege. We would have the least amount of privileges to do the things we need to do for the smallest amount of time. So we'll actually put some to-dos in here to do that. So to do, create SP to create Terraform to create group, create SP, or no, I want to create the Terraform to create, to create the group, create the SP using the Azure AD Terraform module. To create a scoped service principal, and then to do remove SP scripts from the automate. Sound good? Hopefully it sounds good. We'll get there. But let's create some of the things we do need. So for now, back to our main. Control P to navigate around files. So we have a provider. So we'll need what resource group we have. There will already be one created for us, which means we'll actually need it as a variable until we get it from Terraform itself. I usually create it from Terraform itself. So usually, but I'm not using a least privilege in those scripts. So if we go back to my other Terraform modules, I actually create the resource script or the resource group as part of the main. So if we go back and look at Terraform main, we can see here that's like the first thing I do is create the resource group. Interesting. You know what? I do want to be able to use that resource group though. Oh, I do name it as a variable anyway, and I do gather the location. I wonder if I tried to declare one in. Let's find out. Let's see what happens if you talk to one that is already created. So let's go ahead and create a resource group. We'll need a variable for our Azure resource group and our Azure region. For those who aren't with Azure, Azure is broken up into regions, much like AWS. They're a little more interconnected in the way AWS does them. Like you can do some cross-region kind of things like that. Like Azure is considered a whole PaaS, for lack of a better word, whereas AWS architecturally is almost broken up into different regions, where the different regions is almost standalone. Now that could have changed since the last time I read all the architectural guidelines on that, and somebody can always correct me. So I keep a pod here. It's continuously caffeinated. I'm running low on coffee. Coffee is the lifeblood. So for any of you who are on the East Coast of the United States, I'm a coffee snob. My wife was a barista back in her college and grad school days. This might be my favorite roastery. It's Rise Up Coffee. It's out of the Eastern Shore of Maryland. They have a Maryland grind that is just awesome, or Maryland roast is just awesome. I'm not drinking that today, but it is one of my favorite mugs. I like this shape mug. So we've created our resource group. We'll need to actually upgrade our variables file for that. So back into our Terraform. Actually, the variable declarations don't belong here. They belong in a variables file. It would be nice. That's what it was yelling at me at, that I was doing it wrong. It was right that I was doing it wrong. So we need another file. And we need a variables.tf. This is again the convention for variable files. And we've now fixed that problem. Thank you all for catching that for me. I'm kidding. I'm having fun being live and mildly nervous and forgetting some of the obvious things, and that's okay. So we need a resource group variable. Oh, this is the convention I tend to follow. Now the resources are always underscored. So when I want to differentiate a name of something from the resource type of something, I use dashes. And also, I believe those names need to be DNS 20 or 1123 names. I don't know what that means. I just know when it yells at me, it talks about DNS 1123. I'll look it up at some later time. So we need a resource group and a region. So back to our variables file. We'll call these the service principal. And we'll call these the Azure variables. Azure. Actually, I want to move them down. I'm going to try to do them in the order they're needed. Azure environment variables. Oh, wait, don't tell me. I've got 15 minutes left before I move on because I do have a meeting at 11 that I want to be prepared for. Variable. Azure resource group, and we'll add in our region. And give a description. Description will be, this will be the resource group for the Rancher cluster. And then this one will be the region. Now, I tend to default my region because I'm in the East US and East US 2 all the time. I'm on the East Coast of the United States. Feel free to default if you'd like in your copy or not. All right, so now we have two variables, which means we'll have to declare them. I'm actually going to put these in my TFRs. So we want Azure environment. What do I call them? Again, I want consistency environment variables. Azure environment. Not to be confused with session environment variables. Variable. BLES is how you spell variables. So we want the Azure region. East US, I believe that's the right nomenclature. It will tell me if I'm wrong. And resource group. And what do we call that resource group? Be nice to, actually, I should be able to pull that. Did we create oh, we did. I should be able to actually pull that. So we'll tf var, we'll call that resource group, Azure resource group, again. And we'll grab that from the existing variable. And I don't know what that shows. Fortunately, we have that sitting in our environment right now. So if we echo it, oh, do I not have it in this one? Is the other one? I have, oh yeah, it's in this one. This one over here. All right. Good. What I want is, does it need to be a name? Or does it need to be, I think it needs to be the name. You know what? Let's try the ID. The ID is better. Echo resource group, JQ dot ID, and then we'll execute that here as well, so we have it. Oh, what I do wrong? That's what I did wrong. And let's fix it here as well. This is actually when I create Terraform. It's kind of how I do it. I do it live in my terminal, so I have all my session variables with me, and then I write the script as I go. It's a pretty common practice for me when I'm writing Terraform. And then I want to do a Terraform plan again. And it should yell at us differently. Oh, it wants a region. I should already have a region. var Azure region. Did I not save? It helps when you save your file. Azure resource group. Line 3. Definition required. Oh, I probably just TFRs line 3. Oh, don't need that there. Just a fixed file. Wow, I'm actually really impressed by the error handling in Terraform 12. It's really helping me with all the ways I'm screwing this up. Echo. I have the Azure resource group. TFR Azure resource group. Resource. Variables. Azure resource group. That looks good. Minus spelling mistake. Resource group. Okay, that looks good. Oh, did I? Not saving things. No. I'm just going to type it in to see what we get so far. Oh, I'm not getting anything. Oh, that's bizarre. Why am I not being... This is a weird question. Why am I being asked for these things even though they're already in my environment variables? Ew. Ew, 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 ew. All right. I wonder if this is an Azure 11 versus Azure 12 thing. So we have our variables defined, which are then... They should all be defined in our... Oh no, it wouldn't be an export. I can set them as session variables. All right, who can actually tell me how to show all of my current variables on the screen? That I don't know. So I'll leave it to RanchCast people who are probably better Linux people than I am. If you know that off the top of your head, I'll watch the Slack screen for a moment. In the meantime, let me try to see what's going on here. So I have all those variables, Azure Research, Azure Region, that are set up either in a TFRs, right? Yep. Or in my session as TF. And then I should have one for, right? All right, right. That's what I'm expecting. So I'm expecting that. And then the main. Yeah, that should all just work. Oh. Remember we were going to test out to see if the if I needed interpolation for this or not. Yeah, we do, apparently. At least I think we do. So can't do all of that. We'll just paste. Good, it's actually smart. Well, yeah, the test was, so in 12, you actually have object types. You can talk to object types directly. That makes sense. You know what? I have the What's New document up. I'll grab you the What's New document to explain what I was talking about, because I'm still kind of learning the 12 syntax as we go, and I haven't quite figured out where I need variables and where I can just talk to the object directly. So if you go into the What's New for Terraform 12, nope, not that. Too many screens. See here? Yep, documentation. You know what? Again, 12. Announcing. Yeah, we'll do the announcing. Yeah, it's so the first class expression syntax is what I'm talking about. So this is what we're working with in 11. In 12, you can see the difference in this IP sitter range here, where it's grabbing a range where in this case it's actually talking to the objects like the variable without having the need in the string interpolation like here. So either I'm holding it wrong, which is quite possible, or I just for the variables, the way I'm calling them, I need to do it with the string interpolation. So, Terraform plan. Did I forget to save something? Or did I use the wrong screen? Do I have a resource? Do I have a resource group in here? Did I do that? No, I don't. TFR. Oh, I just don't have a resource group. Yes, I do. I don't. I have an Azure resource group, right? Yes, I do. I do have a resource group. I have a resource group variable. Let me just give it a name. it's still not getting my client IDs. Do you ever make that face? Like you're just completely stumbling over yourself and not sure why. Well, I'm doing. I wonder if I need to export all these. Let's start with this. Export. Let's just do the resource group first. And let's do the subscription ID. No, what's the second? Cost for the client ID next. This is where I figured I'm just holding it wrong. Not double equals, just one equals is fine. All right. Now let's find out what happens when we do Terraform plan. That was it. So the thing we've learned today is that when you are actually need to be full-blown exported variables, not just local variables. Okay. So that makes me wonder. So let's go ahead and do that all right. So let's go ahead and fix our automation file. So I wonder if I do this. So we're gonna try something out. Wonder if I can change all of these. Nope, you can't at the same time. I was trying to change all those lines at the same time. I'm sure there's a way to do that. I just don't know it. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. The mind-numbing way when you have too much code and you have to paste the same thing over and over again. Actually, I could have used. You know what? I wonder what the limit of regular in VI I would have done it by lines, but I wonder if there is some way to do it in code. All right, so that means I have to do this for each one of these. You know what? We're gonna clear this stuff out. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually I'll keep this session open as it is for now, since it has all these variables in it. And I'm going to AZ login over here and just clean up my stuff again. So grab my Rancher login, so I'm me, and I just want to delete my group. AZ group, delete, automate, by name, automate all the things too. And we'll just reuse one of the ones I did before. Yes, I want to do that. And then that will run. And I also want to delete my service principal. We'll reuse the service principal name actually we'll have to use this one anyway, because I need two modules for this. I'll do a no wait on that. That one won't take long. So AZ SP, AD SP, delete, ID, and I need an HTTP on that. Good. So that group is slowly deleting. We're going to go back to using this name. And we're going to go ahead and basically rerun this to see if we've fixed it all. You have days that feel like this, where you're just repeating the same things over and over again because you make just the slightest mistake. So you see, I'm no genius. I know how to grind and work hard. That's what I do. That's why I figured, I can walk along with you because y'all are probably smarter than me, and that's okay. Because you all start catching my mistakes soon, even with the delay. It's just a slight delay. It's a couple seconds. Subscription ID. I'm missing subscription. I have one. If I hit export, I should have a bunch of TF. Yeah. Client ID, Azure group. Oh, I showed you all my secret again. We're finishing up soon. I'll delete it when I'm done. Subscription ID. All right, we should have a subscription ID right in here. So what is my problem? Subscription ID. Subscription ID will not work. We need subscription ID. All right, so let's check it here. Subscription ID. We need it here. And let's make sure it's also spelled correctly. Subscription ID. Subscription ID. All right. That should be better now. That actually doesn't answer my question whether we can do string interpolation. Ooh. Azure Cloud is not what we need. So we'll have to figure out. So we will have to give it a variable for public. I'm sure there's a way to get that. So we'll actually put that in my automation for next time. I may do it in the meantime. So to do. So it's usually public. You see how I do it with my other one. Let's just go into my other file and look into my Bootstrap. And how do I usually do public? Environment. Oh, nope, that's not the one I use. Resource group, service principal. Oh, I must put it in the TFRs file. Almost, yeah, I guess that's what I do. Yeah, I used to put in a TFRs file. So for now, this will just be public. Like this. And I heard the RanchCast bleep. Nope, not the RanchCast. Somebody else pinging me elsewhere. And we'll do another Terraform plan. Oops, and no configuration files. Wait, what? I should have a resource group in here. Did I save this? Or am I in the wrong space? Here. Am I here? Oh, I'm here. That must be in a different directory. All right. So we will have to get remote storage. Ooh, name may not exceed. Okay. So we've learned a couple things. One, resource group has to be name and not ID. So that var, we're going to call it Azure Resource Group name. And we're going to go into our variables and call it name. Because I consider the group to be the ID itself or the whole object, which means we'll also need to update the TFRs file for that. So we'll go into the automate file, resource group name, and I don't want ID, I want the name. Make sure I get that right. Echo. And the name is, oh, we get a location for that too. Good. Name, okay, this is .name. And we'll try plan again. So again, we'll do remote support. Hey, and we got a resource group that will be created. At least, actually, it's a resource group that should exist. So I should have created it in here in my automate, and I did. The question is, what will it do if one already exists? So let's go ahead and Terraform apply, and it will show us again what we're going to add. And we'll say yes. Now, it does already exist, and I'm just curious. Okay, we're getting a 409. So I will have to figure out either we'll just use it as a variable for now, which I think is what we'll do for now. Then we'll figure out how to automate that later. So I'm going to just put that in as a variable in our main file, but we'll need to get that resource group if we want its location. Yeah, this could be a problem. Yeah, we're at a good breaking point because it's 10:33 Eastern time, and I've got a meeting coming up soon. So, actually, here you can see my. So, we'll stop here for today. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have everything into the GitHub repo while we're going. So git status. Oops, let's transition so you can see my screen. And we'll git add git status. Git rm terraform dot tf vars. There. And so yes, and we also remove the state file. That's the local state file. So we'll talk about doing remote state later. Those things we'll add to the git ignore as well. Main example variables git add to do automate. So git commit -m end of episode 4. And we'll push. Maybe I'll write the setup scripts in the meantime between now and the next time we meet. And maybe even fix up some of the things that are just bugging me. So thank you all for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching the archive on YouTube. Click the subscribe button or wherever it is because I have no idea where it is. I haven't learned that yet. So thank you all for today, and I'll see you next time on the RanchCast. Bye now.